Welcome everyone at our weekly community meeting of developers Cozystack. Today is 29th of, forgot to write it, of August. Please put your name into this document. I will put this chat into chat. And additionally, I should ask if there anybody new who didn't introduce yourself previously, or who want to introduce yourself. That's the right time to do that right now. Okay, then we can switch to agenda, and we have few topics today. First, I want to introduce you our new solution for reading logging. So we, in last PR, this is not released changed yet. In last PR, we just added Victoria logs and fluent-bit, and I want to show you how exactly it works. So we have this Grafana. You can go explore, and here you see a new data source is added. It's called vlogs generic. So you can query and read some logs. The easiest way to see some errors, you can write just error, and it will output you all the possible errors on every namespace in every pod found. If you want to query some specific namespace, you can use Kubernetes namespace name and specify the namespace name, tenant root, for example. So now you can see logs from all the pods in tenant root. Every log entry has its own labels. Right now, it's shown not the easiest way, as you can see in Loki. But that's weird. It should also be updated. Oh, this prettify JSON is working only if you're collecting JSON logs, so it will be automatically parsed, and you can see. Let's see the logs from Jinx Ingress, for example, or no, I know Cozy Kubvirt. It always writes logs in JSON, so we can see that they structured, and you can see those logs like that. You can find syntax for logsql in Victoria Metrics website. So now, finally, it is working. Right now, vlogs are running in just single instance because the clustered version is not ready yet. I think it will be released in a while, and we will add it into Cozystack. The next topic, I want to show you how end-to-end tests package is working, because previously I wasn't able to show it to you due to bug I made there. So I'm going to show you my terminal window. Here I have Cozystack repository. It is cloned from Git. And we can go packages or testing. Here you can use make apply. So it will create one namespace and one deployment for testing Cozystack itself. And then you can use make test to run actually the test. So it will create 3 virtual machines in this pod, deploy Talos Linux on them, and then deploy Cozystack. So you can use it if you have powerful enough node, you can test Cozystack that way. There are 2 additional options that you can also log in into the environment and see what is happening there. I will not show it right now because it takes time for all tests being running. That's it. That's all the features, new features we added for the past few weeks. If you have any questions, I can answer them right now. If not, let's swap to the discussion. And the first topic to discuss, I think we have to talk about the alert and best practices for alerting. I would like to collect feedback from you. Which solutions do you usually use, and how you get used to see alerts and how to actually react on them? Any feedback?
Let me start, please. Hello, all guys. It's nice to see you here again on community meetings. So in our organization, we are using the typical Prometheus stack. It does not matter. It could be Prometheus, Victoria Metrics, who cares? Then Prometheus is collecting metrics from our targets, from Kubernetes clusters, from Postgres clusters, aggregating it and evaluating rules. If rule is failing, it emits a message through Alert Manager, and it's routed to Grafana and to PagerDuty. So if something weird is happening, we are getting SMS and call from PagerDuty and can react. Unfortunately, it is not very technological solution in terms of that you always will have a so-called alert fatigue because you need to fine-tune all thresholds on all alerts, not to create an additional noise and to make them sensitive enough to alert if something weird is going on. So it's a very difficult part of job to make a proper alerting system that won't make you angry because a lot of noise stuff. So you need only to emit alerts in case if you need some human interaction. So in case if you don't need human interaction, all systems should be self-sufficient and have a capability of self-healing.
I think this is good point. I think we can separate alerts to two types. One type that you should go and fix it right now, and the second type of alert, they can be shown on some kind of dashboard, and you can periodically come to see what exactly happening here, and like predictable alerts, which are not important to fix right now, but you should fix them, I know, in regular way.
Yes, but what we are talking about is a additional parameter of alert called severance or priority. So you have priority 0, which needs some immediate action, priority 1, priority 2, etc. But it looks like that in fact human needs to react only on priority 0 because all other stuff is like not critical and it's just usually a noise. So for instance, the only option when it's not noise, when you understand that something wrong is going on, like you have a RAID array and one of the hard drives needs to be replaced. So it does not need immediate action because RAID is still working, yeah? But you need to fix it, otherwise you will get into big troubles into the future. And it's a different type of like alert or situation. Yeah, so we can classify all possible issues with Cozystack, with downlying hardware, yeah, and explain what operator of the system need to do in such a cases. So
That makes sense.
yes, so what we are understanding right now, yes, so we also don't need just alert. Yeah, alert is just a signal that something is wrong. Yeah, you need also to have some runbook, what you need to do in case when something goes wrong. But if this runbook is like some very basic actions, like I don't know, restart pods or redeploy application, it could be automatic and you don't need a human interaction. But if runbook has some actions that need human interaction, like changing hardware, I don't know, some additional debugging or other stuff, unfortunately, you will need to involve into the process of alert solving some human.
Can we place this information into alert itself?
Usually, yes, runbook is like HTML page or additional metadata, which is stored in additional alert metadata field.
Interesting. Do you have any? Do you know any solution where we can present or to show users the alerts which are firing right now? Because I think alert manager.
It could be Grafana because it has an alert manager input, plugin. It could be alert manager itself because it shows all active alerts, or it could be some another solution. Probably we will run into sometime for Alerta, or even how it was called, Karma. I think it's aggregator of alerts from alert manager like solutions.
Do you know anything about Grafana on call?
No, I thought that it's a replacement for pager duty. So it's not like a catalog of active alerts, but it's rather a thing that route alerts to support lines with engineers.
Yeah, but still it have dashboard where you can see all the alerts. I just thinking, do we need to investigate and configure Grafana on call? It is already in Cozystack. We just don't use it, or we should prepare some dashboard which we can show with all the alerts firing right now. And the other option is, the other question is how to configure the proper alerts routing. We need some history. For example, if some alert is repeating itself, flopping, there should be some option to mute it.
Yes, there is an option to mute it inside of alert manager, but
you can do that only through the alert manager web interface, don't you?
No, it's like my God, sorry, I'm tired and it's very difficult to explain my thoughts. So it could be done as infrastructure as a code principle, because usually you want to put all alerts as a rules inside of Git repo containing promises and alert manager configuration. So muting alerts could be done there, but it's not very convenient for staff which is not very convenient with GitOps approach, and they would like to have some web interface where they can just tick on, off, on, off, on, off. So it depends on who are your users.
This is good question. Who are our users? I expect that we need to talk about that in the paradigm when we are our users. So
yes,
we do.
Also, sorry, Andrei. So I want to add that if we like deploying alerts and rules for alerts like infrastructure as a code, it does not mean that we cannot filter alerts after. So alert manager is emitting alert, and when we intercepting this alert in, I don't know, like Grafana on call, in Karma, in Alerta, please also write Alerta next to the Karma, we can make an additional configuration for these tools and just silence alerts based on some filter, like name, I don't know, or severity, or where we are routing these alerts and other stuff.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm looking for a solution for which could be stateless, or at least can be integrate itself into Grafana. So it would be nice to have single interface for monitoring and for observability. If I understand it correct, Karma and Alerta, they have their own interface. And how can we integrate it in Cozystack to have common authentication?
Look, common authentication is not an issue at all. Yes, OIDC, catalog of users, and we are done. What is real issue when you are talking that Grafana is a single place to get information about everything? It's not true 100%, because in fact it will mean that you have a different dashboards with different sources, yeah, and you need to switch between them. So in fact, it would like typical Ethereum or any other big solution, which has like one entry point, but in fact, it is a set of absolutely unintegrated between each other modules inside of it.
Yes, correct. But still, it have the single interface. It is not very convenient to choosing the data source. But when you have totally unrelated interfaces, we already have two. We have dashboard and we have Grafana. And if we will add the third one, I think we need to implement some kind of router or to link them somehow.
No, we don't. We should not fear this. So have different web interfaces, because in fact we are solving different tasks with these web interfaces. So it would look like that. Look, so just simple example. You have a Cozystack. Inside Cozystack, there are different pods running inside of Kubernetes cluster. You are telling me like, oh, we have Grafana. We can visualize every pod inside Grafana. But would it be the best solution to make a separate, I don't know, custom dashboard in Grafana showing like ingresses, pods, all content of the cluster, and not to use a dedicated solution like, I don't know, Kubernetes dashboard, which is native one, OpenShift console, or headlamp, or I don't know, anything else, which the solution which is dedicated to one very specific task and solving it in the best way.
That makes sense. I only want to put that I don't like the idea of switching between the interfaces, and there should be, if we implement multiple interfaces, we should implement simple solution to switch between them.
It's not an issue, because if so, what is the way of you remember Banzai Cloud company? So they just made a separate UI for control the Kubernetes clusters, and they put Grafana dashboards inside of it like iframe, because Grafana dashboards could be integrated in any arbitrary HTML. So it's not a difficult task to make a good UI with a lot of like tabs, or I don't know, modules or anything else, but you will need just a good front ender to make it working, to combine everything into one pane with proper transitions between pages.
That sounds really interesting, and I think it might work. So we can have single interface which will include Grafana, Alerta, and all the things in it. And we can have common authentication using OIDC.
Yes, but again, common authentication is a different task, because it could be achieved on a number of different services published on different endpoints. So it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, but we got really interesting request for making OIDC authentication for different tenants with different servers. So one tenant can be authenticated through the Microsoft Active Directory, the second one through the Keycloak, for example, the third one through the GitLab.
Yes, I think we discussed it, and it could be. So it's not like a point of discussion right now, I may guess, right?
We can swap to the next topic and we can put it here. So if you have any thoughts to share, please do this, because we use it for implementation, for making decisions. If not, we can just finish this discussion and switch to the another one. I was thinking about creating a common cozy framework, which would work the same way like Kube Builder or other frameworks for making Kubernetes applications. I think we can create the single binary which will create a skeleton of the project, similar to Cozystack, to let people build their own Cozystack distributions with easy. The main question here, if it makes sense for anyone, or if you building your own distribution. I know there are few people who did a fork. So yeah, please, Robert was first one.
For me, I'm interested for such custom distribution, or so that's for example, I will not need everything. I'm thinking about something like minimal, minimal package or something like that. That's for me, it will be fine to have a such tool.
For now, we have bundles. The bundles can be used, and some components from them can be disabled. This might be a more likely tool for developers who would like to create their own framework or to create their own distribution, which might be totally different, but using the same approach we're using right now, like for deploying and for developing and for delivering updates. Ruben?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I think it will be a great option if we can make our own bundles. Because, for example, today when I was asking you in your private messages, there is also a question. Maybe we can discuss it on open floor. For example, on deployment documentation, I can see how to edit the packages that we already have, but I don't see how to add some additional package if you want to test something. Because, for example, I've just forked and changed everything to my own in order to make my own copy of Cozystack. For example, you know about BootStack, but I think now not to develop that project. I want just to make some options for mainstream, because I think it will be better if we are not just going to make something, because I'm just not going to sell BootStack or something. It just I just made it because there were some applications that I would like to use it in Cozystack, but in main bundles they are not present now. So, for example, it will be a great option. Also, I have another question also. For example, there are several options when that, or we must use some config map values in order to define it. Or maybe I have already talked about that in our chat about maybe it can be a Helm or maybe it can be an operator. Because, for example, today I want to PR external DNS and something else. And for sure, we can make some options in dashboard where you can define if you want external DNS, what provider are you using, or something else. But I think also it will be more GitOps way when you don't have, very manual places where you define configuration. For example, that's the main thing that, for example, for now when I'm thinking, for example, it uses Flux in order to keep everything in GitOps way. But for example, for the main Cozystack, there is no such source of truth where you can just define what you want and you know that it will keep it every time in that way. Because so I think how can we just make some things that would let a user to define his options when just bootstrapping Cozystack. For example, he wants a DNS resolver, or he wants to enable or disable such things. It will be config map, or we are thinking about another architecture, something else.
I really like how Cilium is separating that. They have one operator and one config map, but user not editing config map manually. They provide really cool Helm chart which writes all the configuration. In this config map, the configuration for operator, the configuration for other Kubernetes entities. I would like to go the same approach, so we can keep existing architecture as is, because it is easy to maintain and easy to understand. It have no multiple layers, and we can add another layer which will simplify the configuration for Cozystack itself. To me, it looks like you came up with the idea to creating one generic Helm chart for deploying Cozystack and all its components. I think it really makes sense. But all what should it do? It's just to template all the needed entities like we have right now and put them into Kubernetes API.
Okay, so if you make Helm template, so we must change several templates in order to check for config max. So if there is some option exist, it must use another configuration. Yes. Okay, I will try.
In this way, I think since this Helm chart will not be templated by Cozystack itself, not by Flux, it's a user-faced Helm chart. So I think that this Helm chart should avoid using such functions like lookups and other interaction with Kubernetes API. So it would be really nice if we can create Helm chart, which can be templated to the set of Kubernetes entities, which can be uploaded into raw Kubernetes and configure Cozystack in it.
From my perspective, it should be a different one. So I see some just very simple deployment, which could be called a Cozystack operator, yeah? And a very simple CRD, which will contain a configuration for Cozystack. It could be this topic for discussion, how they should be delivered to cluster, but in fact, it could be just kubectl apply, so let's don't focus on it right now. Why additional custom resource? Because it has an additional validation parameters, and we discuss it with Ruben. Yeah, so it will save us from very stupid errors like I'm setting up IP addresses and writing them without mask when system expected it with mask, or vice versa.
This can also be done using Helm, isn't it?
I'm not sure that the Helm is the best option, because Helm for installation of components is a very reasonable thing as we are using an external components. But if we are talking about Cozystack itself, we need to build like a very large YAML file containing all configuration options. And it's obvious that the number of configuration options would be much more than like 10, 100, or even 1,000, because a large number of different components.
So you're talking about creating Cozystack operator.
Yes, so it would be an operator which will be capable of installation of Cozystack and managing its life cycle. So upgrading it and downgrading. But to be honest, it sounds like OpenShift way, in fact.
I think it makes sense. Life cycle.
Yeah, and also this operator should be capable not also of installation the latest version of Cozystack, but rather let's imagine we implemented the first version of operator. Their approach is to make a single operator version, single Cozystack version. But if we want to enhance an old version of Cozystack that could be run on the infrastructure of our clients, let's say they could not upgrade to the latest one for some reasons, we could not introduce a proper code changes to them. So I think it could be like incremental things that will be able to install any supported version, and we can agree what is supported version, like last 3 major versions or something similar.
We can call it version channel.
Yes, yes.
Ruben?
Yes, thank you. I agree what to say, George, what George says, because, for example, when I was just looking how the structure is developed, for example, in similar projects like, for example, Deck House from Plant, also OpenSwitch and so on, everywhere they use some operator in order to make some validation options, not only and that's why I also began to discuss about some operator option. I think it will be a very good option where we can not just only define configuration, but make also some validation. And that's the case because, as I told, there is not any mechanism that can check if everything is okay and keep it in the same way. For example, I also watched one webinar where guys from the Mail.ru group, they also use operator in order to implement such thing that was working on OpenSwitch. It's called projects, which is defining what resources they can use, how they can use, and so on. And from the operator, they are also limiting resources that they can use. Also, if a user, for example, will define replicas in the wrong way. For example, they have such thing that someone, instead of 10, somehow define 10,000 replicas and something goes wrong there. So, for example, they even can, for via CRD, they can define that, for example, they can define more than, for example, 10 replicas or something else. So I think that making operator will be a great start, and in the future we can make very many options in order to keep everything in the way we want.
Okay, agreed. What do you think about replacing our current installer by the to be an operator? Because I think that's exactly the function it does. It is installing all the components, actually configuration for Flux, and perform the migration scripts between the versions. So I think we can replace this simple shell script with the simple Go script, which will look not into config map, but into custom resource, and will perform all the needed actions.
Yeah, sure. Because, for example, when I was looking at the deck house, it is very similar now to what we are making here. And for example, for bootstrapping, they are using some /rd, which is called cluster bootstrap or something. It's a kind is called so. And also they define there the version. For example, now what you discussed with George, for example, stable, latest, which one they want. And I think that we can even via the operator make such things that we can bootstrap from Docker environment, defining how to connect to the servers we want to install Cozystack, and it will connect to them and bootstrap Cozystack also there. Maybe also such options. I think it will be nice for me because the thing that I mostly liked it was that because when now we are installing Cozystack, it's very awesome, you know, everything that we have that has Cozystack. But the first approach where we must make some config maps and use some SH script, I think it's not showing how it must be done. I'm sorry.
Robert.
From my side, we should choose approach which is more universal or easy and manageable. Yeah, I would like to say from customer. So if it is operator, okay, fine. I also share the same ideas to have some some operator or something like that, but it can stay on only one tool or one approach. Yeah, that's going to be fine.
Georg?
What is really interesting topic, should this operator run only inside of already pre-existing Kubernetes cluster, or should we support also running it outside of the cluster, like for the reasons of cluster recovery? Let's say something went wrong and cluster is ruined and the operator could not start because we don't have like enough nodes or something similar, and we want to recover it somehow. How should we do it?
I have one fear of creating operator because it hides the complexity from the end user. So if something is going wrong, right now we just force user to use and understand Kubernetes approaches and to work with the same entities which are standard in Kubernetes. If we will do really simplification in this, big simplification in this sphere, they will not understand how the thing's working.
It's look, it's like improper like guess. Why? Because anyway you will have Cozystack users which are not advanced in Kubernetes and want to make everything simpler. And yes, okay, so they could just buy a professional support and solve their own issues, yeah. But anyway, you will have a user that want just to click and get the working solution. They don't want to get into deep dive what's going on under the hood. They want to get just the result. Yeah, so it means that we should not fear a users that are not amateurs. It's like probably you drive a car, right? You are not expert in car repairing, but you are capable of driving on the roads. What's wrong? So everything should be as simple as possible, and we must hide all complexity inside some kind of abstractions. Helm, to be honest, is also such a kind of abstractions, but it usually leaks, yeah, because Helm install, it's not atomic, la la la. What's going on? With operator, you have an additional options to hide this complexity because you are writing a code which could be event-based, yeah, and it would react on some different situations better than when you are put into the like fancies and limitations of technologies like Helm itself.
I think we can consider then creating new product because for now Cozystack is more likely a framework which you can easily update, change, and rework on your own way. So if you don't want to use LinStore, you can disable it and install CF instead. I think if we will put everything managed by operator, we will lose this flexibility.
I don't think so, because operator could just deploy the same Helm releases to the cluster if you are okay with it and not to revoke this part of framework. But you can get more features, like, let's say, we don't have a good chaining and ordering between Helm releases inside of Flux City. In operator approach, we could leverage it.
Yes, but we are also talking about creating such things like MetalLB configuration, storage classes. Actually, the Cozystack for now can be installed but with the two YAMLs, the config map and deployment, which reads this config map and applies the correct bundle.
Yes, but operator approach is the same. So you have a deployment, running operator, or it could be not operator, but just some script. Yeah, it does not matter. Operator is good because it will be a long-running thing that will be capable of upgrades and other life cycle management operations. Yeah, and regarding config map, we are changing it to CRD. but we can still run config map if you want. Just here it gives more options to validation of parameters, and we can have a track of developing Cozystack and changes inside of possible configuration options.
Okay, let's think what the operator should do. The same logic like we have right now, or should it configure lint-store storage classes, for example?
It could do it if there is a so if we have a flag in CRD like lint-store true false, lint-store storage classes configuration true false, yeah, you can configure the behavior of operator and what it's doing right now.
I think what the best option for managing it. So you want to do actually autopilot operator, but we position Cozystack as framework, and it will not cover all the things you can do in pure Kubernetes. I mean, so I don't know. We can create such operator, but I think it should be separated thing, which will work on top of Cozystack and will manage it the same way like we're doing right now, just to have these two abstractions separated. In case if you use Cozystack or just partially or just like a framework, you should have the opportunity to use it without this operator.
Difficult question because probably I don't know. Operator could be an essential part of it. So it's strange to use a Cozystack and tell like, oh, we will throw away Kamadzi, or we will throw away Flaxity, or anything else. So anyway, we have a bunch of operators inside of it, and it changes the underlying Kubernetes cluster in one-way transition. Yes, we can roll back it, but if it would be not empty cluster, installation of Cozystack could lead to unpredictable consequences.
There's still a lot of things which you can disable or replace. For example, you can use Cilium load balancer instead of MetalLB. You can use virus storages and instead of lint-store. You can even install it on different CNI, which we don't support.
I agree, but I don't understand how it contradicts with operator. And Ruben sent a link to Deckhouse. Deckhouse utilizes almost the same approach because it has a different type of installation. So it could be installed on top of virtual machines like a brand new cluster, or it could be installed on managed Kubernetes clusters like EKS or AKS or GKE, like just a Cozystack.
They implement totally different approach by hiding complexity and not even providing the opportunity to use core entities. So, for example, the lint-store interface, they're fully hidden from the user. For every module, they have their own abstractions. So you can't even use KubeVirt virtual machines because the KubeVirt API in the house hidden from the user. So this is totally different approach. We implement the simpler one, and I think it makes some value that we provide it the same way, and Flux operates it very well.
No idea, to be honest. So it could be just a point for further discussion, yeah. And we can just stop right now if you want, or try to finish this discussion right today.
Okay. Marianne, do you have other topics? We have a large backlog. What do you mean by this?
Maybe we need to allocate some time in our working and discussions to
talk about backlog. Yeah.
Yes.
If somebody
because
from the community.
we have many tasks, and all tasks it's simple bugs or simple features, but we don't do that and discuss some big features like operator and
Yeah, we usually have to go issues every time, but we have no time. The discussions are very interesting, so we continue them till the end of the meeting. Yeah, we have some tasks, and if somebody from the community would like to try doing something or implement some features, we are happy to guide you how to do this. And some tasks need research. Some of them can be simply implemented. For example, add web SSH RDP for VM, and that's one of the tasks we want to do. But we have no enough resources for now. So if somebody interested in this, you can try to investigate Guacamole or KubeVirt Manager and give us your feedback how this tool is working, if it's worth to adopting it or not. I don't know, adding additional entities like virtual machine classes and instance types. This can be done using this operator. What else? At least writing alerts and fixing our dashboards might be really useful.
maybe need to highlight main tasks, what we need.
Yeah, we had a roadmap. It is slightly outdated, but I think we can rework it. I think I will prepare and mark some issues like good first issue to mark which one are not very important right now, but it might be easy to fix or to implement. So if somebody would like to try, it can be simply taken and implemented in Cozystack. I will do this. Thank you for mentioning this. And we also have a question from Evgeny. Would you like to say anything? Would you like to pronounce it?
Hello, thank you. As I wrote, I'm very new in your project, and I need just to maybe feel in deep inside and to understand your problems, and the most of problems you discussed today. I not been ready to join to these conversations, but maybe my main question is why not to support the cluster API, because this very as for me it's a very good functionality we can use, and it's very supported, and you can create a Kubernetes, you can create virtual machines, and etc. Maybe and this functionality also supported by sorry, I forgot the name.
We're actually using cluster API for provisioning clusters. We don't use it for provision virtual machines because it does not provide you, or it should provide you. Actually, I just don't understand the need of creating virtual machines through the cluster API, because we already have the entity for creating virtual machines through the KubeVirt. But for creating Kubernetes cluster, we use it and integrate it with Kamaji. And that might be interesting idea to use cluster API for managing Cozystack nodes, because it is also possible. It has, how's it called, native native provider, or it's called something like that. So it allows you to manage the nodes for the cluster where it is actually running. Or is that you're talking about?
Yes, you're right. And I mentioned cluster API to use virtual machines. I don't know how you use applications. How can I deploy, for example, Postgres application, not inside of container and Kubernetes, because heavy load input disk I/O task like Postgres Kafka will not work well in the container there or Docker, and it should be run native. And
Yeah,
maybe
right now
what to
we
do with.
implement the same approach. Sorry, I just interrupt you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we implement the same approach. So we have some workload which is controlled by us. We expect that all the applications, databases, and managed services, they're running on predicted images. So we run them right on bare metal. This allows us to get native performance, and we use
Nice.
virtual machines and just for running user code, for let them SSH into virtual machine and run their code there, or to provision KubeVirt Kubernetes cluster and run their code in user-faced Kubernetes clusters.
Nice. What do you think about identity and identity and access management, Terraform, and etc.?
Could you please
Because
clarify what I mean?
I mean that it will be problem for any customer because any customer has a few workers and might be partners to which should work with this private cloud, and there is very important to realize identity access management, maybe groups to handle permissions, who what can do, and etc.
Yeah, for
And
now, we were considering Cozystack just a solution for providing backend, with slightly adding features for making it possible to use to provide it to end users, but we still not recommend for doing this. So we provide a backend where users have no access to the Cozystack itself. So the Cozystack itself, it's a tool for administrator, or more likely platform, which you can use as backend for provisioning services.
backend, okay. I mean, not user from the outside. I mean, maybe I mean DevOps as users
Employees.
employees. Yes. Maybe some of employees can be cloud operator who can monitor to the Alice and do to run books with very low qualification, but like third level support and first level support, and more good DevOps will do any job. They
Okay.
of course they should have different permissions to the resources in the private cloud. No? Maybe.
Yeah, for now we implemented tenant model where upper tenants have access to the down tenants, but we don't implement any user kind of user accounts for this scheme. I think we will do this in a while. So for every tenant, you probably will be it will be possible to specify which exactly user will have access to which resources. But this is still in consideration because the tenant model is very simple for now, which we have It is very simple, and adding complication like for specifying custom resources like user roles and role access, you can actually consume just standard Kubernetes role-based access control model.
Okay. Where you wanted to put OIDC support, like Kcloak?
I think that yes, and I was insisting on Citadel solution because it's more flexible, and I don't want to see Java code running inside of Cozystack, which is difficult to.
We already have some
Yes, difficult to
Linstore,
maintain. Yeah.
Trimzy,
But in
Java
fact,
origin.
yes, Citadel or Authentic are very nice newer generation of IDP solutions, and I will be very glad to see them. And I think it could give us a very strong integration point with another external user catalogs. For instance, if we have multiple tenants or even Active Directories, so it could totally and completely cover the topic of IAM.
Can you write the name of that software in the chat, maybe?
Yeah, of course.
Didn't hear about that. Thank you.
Jamal had a question. Or maybe was it mistake? Okay,
No.
Ruben.
He offered CAS door. It's another solution that we can like estimate and check how it's working.
We have 2 minutes left. Ruben, do you want to put some question?
Yeah, I would like to ask about. I'm just I'm just exploring now CVDFS. I just want to ask. Can we use CVDFS in order to make some RVX storage classes? That's the first question. And second one, that I saw that CVDFS also supports several ways of backups. For example, like we can use NFS storage, we can use Amazon and so on. And now when we have some image manager, no, not image manager. I've even self-PR'd it to main Cozystack. I forgot how that was called. Image manager or not? Snapshot manager. So we can make backups.
Snapshot controller.
Snapshot control, yes. So we can make snapshot. We can send snapshots to CVDFS, and after we can also backup it to somewhere outside of our cluster. Yes. If it is available, I would like to also contribute to make such options in our dashboard, where we can just define backup targets where you want to backup, and it will give users opportunity to make backups of their Kubernetes etcd or also buckets themselves.
Yeah, I can answer. You can implement CSI driver for using this CVDFS, but this will be working very well because you should understand that CVDFS is object storage. It's not possible to modify objects in object storage. You can just download object, modify it, and upload it back. If you use CSI driver, it uses Fuse, and Fuse is slow by itself. It is hiding you from having such logic, but still, if you would like to put some database, it will work very bad. If you're going to use it like for as file share for uploading files, it might be working good. But in this way, you should also consider using S3 instead of RVX volumes. So it depends on the workload. I think heavy workload will not be working well on CVDFS. The only option is to consider it using these RVX volumes as file store, where you can just upload files, from web form or something like that. The second question about backup, I can answer it. CVDFS have two things which you need to backup. The first one is metadata storage, actually Postgres, and the second thing, the files itself. I think both should be configured somehow simply way to backing up onto other S3 or something like that. Yes, we are going to add it, just not for now. Nikita, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I have a quick question about OIDC. So which accesses should be managed by that? You mean like access to dashboard or every application which is presented in Cozystack, like including databases and stuff?
I think at least for the dashboard and for Kubernetes itself, but we also have configuration for tenant Kubernetes clusters. And Georg, do you want to
Yes,
comment on this?
I think that it would be very easy to implement the OIDC access to the main Kubernetes cluster and for tenant Kubernetes clusters, and cover all web-wise present in Cozystack right now. So Grafana, Alert Manager, Victoria Metrics, everything.
Yeah, that's it. We already in 3 minutes more. We have to finish. So thank you, everyone, and see you next week at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.